Okay. All right. All right.
All right, question. How did the black shirts distribution go?
It was simple, you know. Coach Rule. I mean, everybody forgets Coach Rule has earned the right and opportunity to do it that way, you know, any which way he wants. And so, went in there and we talked about it, and he said, "How does this look?" And I said, "That looks cool. Let's do it." So, quick, easy, simple. Yeah.
What about how'd you give them to the players? Practice, hanging in their lockers?
They were in their lockers. Yeah, they were in their
How did
lockers.
you arrive at some of the decisions? I mean, there's obviously some situations where you might have a coach start. How did you kind of decide on who it would just be 11?
Yep.
Kind of your thought process and how you went about your first time.
Yeah, it was just what we thought, the 11 that we are anticipating going out there and starting. You know, didn't want to try to give out more or less. Just hey, the 11 guys we anticipate starting is hanging up in those guys' locker, and kind of go from there. Yeah.
What were some of their reactions, especially some first-time watchers?
Yeah, they were. You could tell who they were because when they came out there, they were extra smile. I don't know if it was black shirt or the single digi. You know what I mean? Because it kind of went hand in hand, but they were excited. You know, and it's cool when you ask the young men about it, the first time they ever got one, and they're able to rattle it off like that. So it means something to them, and it was exciting to watch those guys yesterday walk into the indoor and then see it on them and have a smile on their face because I know they know what it means. Yeah.
There's so many of those single digit guys. How telling of it is that for group of what they've done this offseason?
Yeah, I mean that's a testament to a lot of people. You know, that's a testament to them and what they represent, and then obviously buying in and adopting what the program is about, what Coach Rule preaches daily, what Coach Campbell preaches in the weight room. You know, a lot of times you mistake the talk with the application. Coach talks about the adopting, you know, and those guys were good guys. I mean, you look at it, those were low maintenance, blue collar young men who care about this place. So it's actually a treat to see them rewarded for it. And again, there's a lot of young men who, when it was voted upon, could have gotten those jerseys. So it's fun to watch those guys, and then for those other guys who got a lot of votes as well, it's something where now, you know, they're competing to try to get it later on, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
With the black shirts too, is that sort of a week-to-week thing, or is that viewed more as a season-long?
No, that's a week-to-week deal. You know, I mean, you want to make it special. You want to keep guys competitive. You want to make sure that they understand, like, hey, this is something just like all of us, right? It's 1-0. You know, win the rep right now. Let's concentrate on the day and represent what that's supposed to represent as of right now, and then we'll move forward with it. So.
Do you anticipate keeping that at 11, or could you see a situation where somebody beyond the 11 earns it, nobody uses it?
Right now it's 11, and then if something changes, or, you know, coach has said if there's like that other guy who's going to go in the game like that, then we'll talk about it. But right now, first time through, let's keep it at 11.
There's a lot of talk about how Minnesota doesn't know what you guys are going to do. Do you personally kind of buy that, or do you think they have a pretty good idea based on not only a coach that they hired, but facing, you know, your defense?
Yeah.
I know you weren't there, but they faced the defense.
Yeah, I mean, they faced the defense. They got the film. Actually, I believe one of their secondary coaches was on staff with me for the last couple of years. So they'll have an idea. They'll have a general idea of how things work. But again, it's more so how the guys execute than the schematics of it. You know. So
How has the execution been of what you're asking them to do? Not just the technique part, but the actual execution of the scheme.
it's been going well. I mean, the young men, they've done everything asked, and it can always be better in terms of from the coaching staff, in terms of teaching it. If there's an issue, seeing it right away, getting it changed for the game, or on my end, eliminating what causes confusion. You know, so that process is still ongoing. I mean, today we put in some new things, tweak some stuff like that, but after a certain time, it's all about eliminating problems and letting them play fast. So that's still going on.
Tony, kind of along that, is there a point where the hay's kind of in the barn, like the night before or so, or are you thinking about stuff even the day of the game that you can tweak or whatever?
Never. Like, I mean, we got a hard cutoff of like, hey, no more. That's it. Let them go play. I mean, they've had over 6,000 reps at playing, at defending passes, defending the run game, all that kind of stuff in the calls we've been doing. So it would be crazy to put those guys in a situation where now all of a sudden you're inventing stuff the day before the game that they haven't put on the grass. You know what I mean? That's not a smart thing to do.
Not to go guy by guy at this point, but Chief Borders gets a black shirt. Just what have you seen out of him as he's developed in that jack spot?
Yeah, consistency. You know, there's a lot of guys, again, deserving of the 11, but at that time when the decision was made, it was like, okay, well, who's been the most consistent guy? And like I said, Chief has stood out with his attitude and his effort. And again, that's the cool part, is when you get to reward the effort part. You know, talent, you kind of put that to the side because all these guys are talented. But when you get to highlight the effort and things like that, the attitude, I think that's a big deal around here. So it was cool that he was able to go back and do that. And when we looked at the practices, who's playing physically the most consistent, who's running to the ball, who's all OU, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying anybody else is, but he just had that one little thing where you could see it on film. So it's like, all right, let's go, let's roll with it.
Can you tell me if the other two linebacker spots, what's your depth situation, and how do you feel about the way that you can rotate guys? Are they interchangeable spots, or do you have, a group of players that play one side and a group of players that play the other? Coach
Dvorak has done a really good job of managing, moving guys around. You know, he's done a really good job of teaching to where some guys now, like Javen, is starting to show up and starting to make a lot of plays. You know, guys being able to play the jack, moving over Makai, getting him reps at all three spots. Showing some versatility, moving guys around in practice with all the reps we're getting. You know what I mean? So it's more so they've been intertwining all their skill sets so we can put guys at any one of the spots out there. Yeah.
Who's the guy or two out of those 11 that you feel like maybe has come the furthest from the spring in terms of that consistency that you're talking about?
Ooh, furthest? I would say, I'd probably say Blaze is up there. You know, just because he's an OOU guy. He's a guy that you root for. He's a guy who's been here and low maintenance, does everything right. And to see him put himself in a position to work his body with Mitch and Corey with the injuries and all that kind of stuff like that, you know, to get to this spot where he did that, I think that's a big time. Deshaun Singleton as well, you know. He's a guy who made plays, and you're always flashing because his athleticism and his size and how rangy he is, and to see him do it consistently over and over and over again, that's really cool to see. So those two guys off the top of my head, yeah.
How much does special teams value impact your road trip decisions on who gets to go?
Yeah, I mean, special teams, those guys, I mean, I joke around, but those guys are in defensive jerseys. On the Coach Foley, the last scrimmage we had, made sure that the kicking nets were on the defensive side of the field because that's their defense. You know what I mean? So that's a huge emphasis on our side of the ball. So it's funny because Coach was talking about the last couple of spots on the trial roster and talking about the importance of who else is on those special teams, who else can run down there if you have an injury or something like that. And literally just made the decision a couple of moments ago. You know, so it's a huge deal. Yeah.
What's the team psyche right now, knowing the game is 3 days away? Are you guys managing anxiety, nerves, whatever else like that?
Yeah, I think they're anxious about this practice because we got some new stuff in, and we got, this is the first Wednesday in season practice before the game for us, right? So seeing the mistakes from yesterday's practice, I think they're anxious about today right now, and Coach, starting at the top, Coach Rule and all the coaches being able to keep that mindset of, hey, it's win this rep right now. You know, let's concentrate on this moment because the game, it'll be there. We're going to get on the plane and we're going to show up and we're going to kick off at that time. But right now, the game means nothing if we don't handle today right. You know, so.
How has your August been? Has it been like do you characterize it as a steady climb? Has there been fits and starts? What's it like? What's it been like for the defense?
I think it's been consistent. You know, I think it's been The biggest thing that I can say right with that is how we do things more so than what we're doing, and the consistent growth of dominant contact and Husker speed, and making sure that part is correct. Because again, X's and O's wise, the offense always wins on the board, right? So somebody's going to have to defeat a block, somebody's going to have to run to the ball, somebody's going to have uncommon effort in order to make a play or save us, right? So I think that is the most important thing that you see consistently, and consistently growing, not only with the black shirt guys, but guys who are on that second team, on the third team, Dwight Boodles, you're seeing him show up like that. The younger guys buying in, Sua. You see a lot of the trade team guys exercising that when they go against the offense or they go against the defense, you're seeing them use those same things. So I think that's been the most important thing right there. Yeah.
What comes out of your offense?
Consistency. I mean, they know who they are, and that's how they play. And I think that's a really big compliment when a team knows who they are and they know how they win. I mean, they rush for over 200 yards a game, throw for almost 200 yards a game. I mean, they play great defense. They play great special teams. They know who they are. And so when you watch them, they're going to do what they do. And so that's why it makes today important. The game will take care of itself, but that's what makes today important, because we get a chance one more time, for the last time, physicality-wise, to prepare. Yeah.
In terms of their offense, they've had plenty of turnover, and a lot of guys that are key contributors weren't with them last year. Are there any challenges getting ready for guys who we haven't seen them in their system, or haven't seen them in this?
I mean, the system in terms of like the versatility we're showing on defense, it's gonna be the same deal. I mean, they lose a couple old linemen. They still got some really good tight ends. They lose a really good back, and here they go. They get a transfer and a freshman who's really dynamic. The receivers coming in. I mean, so that's what football is. The guys leave, and now it open up an opportunity for guys to come in and either fill the shoes or make bigger shoes, right? So they'll be ready, but again, that's what we're preparing for. We're ready to go today. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Hello.
We have not. We're going to let Coach Rule handle that tomorrow.
What goes in, 3 days from the game, what goes into your thought processes, crunch time news with that?
Just, we're making evaluations on who that's going to be. I got a pretty good idea of who it's going to be. I'm just going to let Coach talk about that tomorrow, from a final standpoint of the decision. We still have one more day today. We're going to look at a couple things. So, we've got it down to kind of where we need it to be, but Coach will let you guys know about that tomorrow.
Do you find that in your role you spend more time thinking about the weakness than potentially the strength? Like Bushini's kind of a known, but do you spend more time worrying about that one thing that might go wrong?
I worry about everything. It's my job, part of my job. But yeah, where this is with the first year for me is like 90% of what we're going to do is in, and we've been working on it. But that 10% of all the things that could happen on special teams is a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of situational football that you can maybe get a rep at, and there's going to be a couple things that we're probably not going to, but like try to do the best we can to get a look at what we're going to do. But some of those really uncommon special teams plays that happen very infrequently are hard to get worked on. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
How tough did guys make it on you just to make those final decisions on who gets on the bus?
That's not as hard from the standpoint of, because you know what the offensive and the defensive depth charts kind of look like. So you start to pare it down, whatever 10 days ago, you can start looking at it. So we got a bunch of dudes that can play special teams. So I'm not losing sleep so much about who the guys are going to be, because there's a really good pool of guys that'll go. So that's not as much of my concern as experience with some of the small details of what you need to do to be a great special teams operation at the college level.
What was Bushini's camp like? I mean, what was his August like?
He was really good. Like, he's got a big leg. He had a really good camp. He was very consistent. He can kick it far, and he can kick it where he wants it to go. So I feel really good about what he can do, what he brings to the table. He has leadership qualities. He's taken that unit to heart. Very personal for him to go out and have a good day. If he misses a couple of kicks in a rack, he's very critical of himself. But he's been really good.
What about that call that had him do kickoffs? I mean, I assume he was the most consistent at doing it in practice, but how much do you take into consideration his value as a punter and just what you're risking by having him run down a kickoff?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mitch. There's a lot to that. Like, we got some guys that can kick off, so I don't want him to have the pressure of the world on him to have to kick off every kick between his leg running down there. His job is going to be to be our punter. Timmy's kicked off, and Tristan can do it. So, like, that job, I think you're going to see evolve throughout the course of the year. I'm not sure who's going to kick the first one, to be honest with you. It really depends on what the situation will be, but like. I think that's going to be one of those things that we're going to keep working on throughout the early part of the season.
How does the situation change for a kickoff?
Wind. Yep. The wind direction. Who can get it up? What direction the wind's blowing? What the who's hitting the ball well? Really, because they're that close together. So who's hitting the ball well in the pre-practice part of that? So there's a couple. Those are really the two things that we're going to look at.
What about you about Emmett Johnson at that kick return spot, and how much is decision making a big part of that? When a fair catch is taken to the 25 and all that.
Yeah, Emmett, both the Johnsons, Emmett and Ramir, have done a really good job back there of catching it, making the decision of when to catch it, how to approach it. They track the ball well. They both can run through things, and they're both fast enough to break away. They have good vision, so they're both guys that can do it.
What's one of the, or two of the differences between them back there?
There's not really a whole lot of difference between them. I think Ramir might be a hair quicker, and Emmett might be a hair more physical. I don't know. Maybe but they're both really good. And, Minnesota kicks it to both sides of the field. So, in the college game, you have two guys back there that can do it. So we've got to be ready to have both those guys back there and going and being able to return in either direction. So, if you ask me, if they're both back there, who I would want it to kick to, that's a hard question to answer. I'm good with either one of them. I really am good with both of those guys as, Big Ten kickoff returners. I think they're both going to be really good for us.
When we see 5 or 6 true freshmen on the 2 deep, how big of a role is special teams in getting those guys comfortable and ready so that they can go in the secondary or wherever they need to go as the year goes on?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to get those young guys on the field and get them some seasoning, playing full speed and getting some butterflies out and getting their first hit or whatever. So I think it's. I think it's a valuable part of their development. I think it gives them confidence to be able to go out there and do whether their other jobs are. I don't know where they are enough on the other depth chart to know whether they're going to play their first play on defense. In the NFL, it was easy because their first play was almost always those young guys was almost always on special teams because you didn't have a lot of guys. So, I'd like to play the punt team with the black shirts and the single digits personally. But I think those other units against Minnesota are going to be, we might pop a couple young guys in there, see what they can do.
With those black shirts announced, what's been the impact of that group of 11 specifically on special teams and what they've said there?
Well, it's great when you line it up and because you don't even really notice it until you get out there and you got the punt teams all black shirt, or just about all black shirts. So. That's really cool. And the number of single digits that's out there that's playing, because we try to Coach Rule's always wanted to get the best players on that team. So you look out there and you got 0, you got 2, you got 4, so that 6 is out. So you got a bunch of guys out there on that punt team that make you feel really good that the peers think that they're the best players on the team. So that's always really powerful for us on special teams.
In your experience, does a stadium with a true open end function any differently than an enclosed stadium when it comes to the kicking game?
No, but we will be out there looking at what the wind patterns are. I've never coached a game in that stadium, but I can tell you from all the places that I have coached, there have been some closed stadiums that have had a really kind of weird. Carolina was one of them. Philadelphia playing, coaching at Temple, where they were both closed, had kind of a swirling kind of weird wind to them. So I am looking forward to getting out there and getting out there early and kind of getting a feel for, what our game plan will be, particularly in the punt game with the wind.
Anything else, guys? Are you disappointed in this what's happening here Wednesday night?
Yes, I am, but I got places to be. Yes, I want my wife and my daughter will be here at the volleyball day, and my daughter's playing volleyball, and they're very excited about being here. I was just out there walking out there with Kelly Hunter a little bit ago, and just talking about standing on the court and looking around and being like, oh my gosh, what an awesome opportunity for our girls to go out there and play. So yeah, I wish I was going to be there, but can't be in 2 places at once, and we got a job to do. We got to go to Minnesota and rock and roll. Thanks, guys.